Riverside.
Peach Bowl tickets acquired, Tim. Good
Heck
job.
yeah.
Well, you got them. They're in our accounts.
The Stampede continues to Atlanta. We're on our way.
There's a lot of people that are probably still waiting. I personally wanted to wait till game day, but you and our person sitting with us were like, nope, we got to secure it. So did we get a good deal? Should people still wait, or should they just keep monitoring?
They can wait. I think prices might come down like a little bit, right? Maybe $30, to what you're seeing right now. They started to come down more last night. There was more tickets becoming available, so there was more that was coming available in certain sections as I was seeing. So that was a good indicator for me. Really, what this is we'll have a bet ultimately about who won this, but I'm using deep analytics to predict the best time to go buy. We got a fantastic deal, much like the deep analytics is projecting the Hoosiers to pull this out on Friday and win by double digits again.
Well, we are going to talk about those Hoosiers because you're listening to the Kirkwood and Dunn podcast. I'm Trent.
And I'm Tim.
And you need to follow us on all of our accounts because we've had a ton of content being put out at Kirkwood and Dunn on Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, like all the accounts. We put out as much content as we can because there's so much stuff. Like everyone's talking about Indiana. I've clipped so many things from that Oregon game, and all the Oregon fans, like will talk about their reaction to every time I clip something. It's just like, we're a better team. And I'm like, yeah, okay, like, but this is like tape. This is exactly what you look like against Indiana. So yeah, we have plenty to dive into. But I'm excited for this game. What's your vibe? What's your emotions at this point?
I have swung from at the start of the week post Alabama game going, oh no, second time matchup, not good. We'll see. Like I think Indiana is particularly on defense, is a scheme rich defense, that their scheme is what is enabling their success. And a second time around, they'll have it all figured out and we'll struggle. That's where I was early in the week. I'm back around to like, this is Indiana football is a runaway train. Like, you look at all kinds, and I don't care what model it is. Like, the analytical models are very sophisticated now. We live in a digital age, an AI enabled age. Like, it's not perfect in an exact science, although as much as I do love placing correct score bets, this is an Indiana team that is favored for a reason, that is better than Oregon at every stage and better than every team left in the college football playoff at every stage as well. So it's hard to envision a way that Oregon wins this game. Like, that's just the fact of the matter, because that's exactly what happened in Autzen Stadium 2 months ago. Ultimately, while Indiana even made a critical mistake with the pick six from Fernando Mendoza, while they can't give up a big play like it did early on for a touchdown for Oregon, you have to really play the absolute perfect game, while at the same time, Indiana has to play a very poor game for you to come out to win. That's almost what happened at Penn State. Didn't happen. I still don't think it's going to happen here. This is a game that I think Indiana is really going to be still matched up pretty well on, because as we've seen of late, things aren't looking good for the Ducks health-wise. So, like, no matter this sort of like, oh, but the recency thing here is what matters most, I don't see those recent news and events like actually mattering in a significant way.
All right, let's pack up because Tim just blew through our whole agenda in his little opening monologue.
Yeah, pretty simple, actually. It's pretty straightforward.
Well, that was the Kirkwood and Dunn podcast. Like and subscribe. No, so for those of them new, we have a lot of new listeners. What we do during these preview pods is we make the case of how Indiana loses the game. We make the case how Indiana will win the game. We choose a player of the game and we do our score predictions. But we first start talking about a little bit of all the noise surrounding it. Tim's reaction and kind of how he just said it is what you're seeing from most national people. There are people that like to be contrarian, but I think at this point, aren't we? Would you agree with this, Tim? Like, we're to a point that logically you can't not pick Indiana. You have to go off of old tropes like repeat, like playing someone again. And
Right.
well, Dante Moore, there's a lot of people that think Dante Moore has higher upside in the NFL than Fernando Mendoza. So they're like, well, Dante Moore, like he's got that talent. He had a bad game, so Dante Moore doesn't have a bad game twice. And Indiana, they've seen that front seven. Texas Tech was better, and they handled that. And so blah 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 blah. Like, isn't that kind of what the ones that are against Oregon or for Oregon against Indiana are saying that? But most people are just like, if Indiana loses, it's an upset.
Yes. Well, and I think what happened was, as you heard first here on the Kirkwood and Dunn podcast multiple weeks ago, as we were getting ready for the Rose Bowl, was that plenty of people are still what we like to call helmet watchers. That they look at the logo and they go, "This is the logo that I've seen with a win next to it for the last 25 years, so I'm going to pick that logo." And then we beat the effing brakes off of Alabama, which had all of those other sort of old tropes behind them. The logo, the 5-star recruits, the talent at every level, the SEC, it just means more, blah, 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 blah. And that what they've done, good on them, which is they've recognized, like, maybe I need to stop looking at the logo and really start looking at the team that's on the field. And that's where folks are starting to come around to on this Indiana team. But again, as you just highlighted, when folks this week are also talking about this game and previewing it and trying to say, like, yeah, I think Oregon's going to win, or I like Oregon in this matchup, the reasons that they're saying that are not really founded in anything about the matchup. It's about a thing that I think is kind of worrisome of a, like, second time game, okay. Or again, they're going back to the, like, lots of talent. Dante Moore's better than Ty Simpson. So Dante Moore, quarterback, and it's Dante Moore's second time playing IU. So that means maybe he's going to do well here. Or Oregon was really banged up in certain positions last time. Now they're a little bit healthier, and so then they'll be better off. None of those are all just like straw man type arguments of, like, these things aren't real. They're not really going to matter. They're not going to matter to the point of a 10-point difference in the last game, right? And that last game being at Oregon, not at a neutral site. So you have a
Neutral
really,
site.
yeah, it's going to be a Bloomington site. So I have a really hard time believing any of those arguments that equate to what is effectively a 2-touchdown difference in the
Yeah.
game. Like, that's a huge swing in terms of team A versus team B. I don't see any of those factors really ultimately becoming a 2-touchdown difference such that then Oregon could ultimately win this game.
So, and I agree. I mean, that's the predictions. And by the way, Tim and I picked Oregon. Both of us picked Oregon to win in our preview pod going into the Autzen game. Like, just because of the away environment, and we both, even though it doesn't come across sometimes, have a healthy respect for Oregon. Oregon
Sure.
can. And their coaching staff, and they can win this game. And I'm actually like you called it a straw man argument, and I agree. And like, people make content, right? Like,
Yeah.
it would be really bad content for a lot of these national podcasts and prognosticators to get on and just be like, "Yep, Indiana's going to win by 21." Like that, like that's what we're going to see again. And all four of them agree, and they just glaze Indiana constantly. They put out a product that they take other sides of it. So, and to the point, to what I just earlier said, they have a really good coach. They have really good coaches. They have really a
Yep.
good quarterback. They have a solid team. Defensively, they did look really solid against Texas Tech. Like, there are things that you're seeing here and you're going, yeah, we can lose this game. I made the joke online. We're not playing Alabama. Like, if
Nope.
we were playing Alabama, like, I'd be like, yeah, we can't lose this game. It's Alabama. Like, it's Oregon. They're a solid team. We've said all season long, they're top 3 team in the country along with Ohio State and Indiana. So if you play them in the national semifinal, it is what it is. You've got to have a healthy number of respect for them. Tim, but what hurts Oregon is, and you mentioned it, transfer portal. They lost a couple running backs and some defensive backs in the transfer portal, which sucks. Like I feel bad for their fans. Like that's one thing about Oregon fans. It's everyone's like, "Oh, Oregon fans are so nice." Like they've one, they're very funny. We all agree with that. But they're so nice and they like aren't really like there's been some stuff, but guess what? We do the same thing, so I'm not like hating on them for that. One of the reasons why they're so nice is because they've been hurt before. I
They
just
know
like
they know the pain of Kurt Signetti. They know it well.
it's not even Kurt Signetti. It's 25 years of being on a doorstep of getting to the college. I mean, as someone said, I think this is like the 10-year anniversary or something of a national championship appearance for the team. Like I, they've been so close so many times and then
Yeah.
they lose. And I think that it's almost emotional hedging for the Oregon Ducks going into this game that they are not, "Oh, we're so much better. Look at all these 5 stars, blah, 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 blah." So I it and this injury stuff with their running back room where I think they have 2 scholarship players as of 4:53 in the afternoon
Yeah.
Eastern Time. It I I'm
It
very
presents a s
concerned about what's happening.
it presents a scenario much like Alabama where they could end up being pretty one-dimensional, right? That was the thing that we said in previewing Alabama was like, listen, they can't run the ball at all. Like it's really bad. So then that leaves their offense with one hand tied behind its back, and it makes the job a lot easier for the Indiana defense,
Yeah.
which is elite.
Yeah.
Elites
Yeah.
against the best, most balanced offenses. And if Oregon's going to come in with one hand tied behind their backs, this is going to be a really, really big uphill battle.
And one thing you constantly hear, and I rewatched that Texas Tech Oregon game. Well, Texas Tech's defense is better than Indiana's. I think you've said on this podcast you thought Texas Tech's front seven at the very least their
Yes.
front
Yeah.
seven was better than Indiana's. And but we heard the same thing about Georgia. And like Indiana whipped Alabama way more than Georgia and Oklahoma whipped Alabama. Oregon has not allowed that many pressures, that many sacks as they did in their own stadium, in a stadium that had a pro Oregon crowd enough that our offensive line really struggled with the noise, and they still got whipped. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things that it is weird to think about. Hey, how have these teams evolved? Because my next question is, let's make the case for Oregon to win this game and go, Indiana's gonna look vastly different. When people have picked Oregon team total over 21.5, like a national pundit did today, I'm like, What? You're throwing a dart. You're throwing a dart at that point. There is nothing that backs up that that's gonna happen, especially looking at that Oregon offense against that Texas Tech defense, which was not impressive.
Right. That is like the really, I think the most um transferable thing. It's the most transferable thing about football in general is defense. Defense wins championships is the standard mantra basically across all levels of football. And this Indiana defense is insane. Like it's so good that like let's just I'll read through our quick schedule, right? Like and Indiana fans have known this, but like our hater audience from Oregon knows it a little bit, but Alabama had to learn the hard way, etc. Gave up 14 at home to Old Dominion. Man, that's a wild rewatch right now to start the year. 9 points to Kennesaw State, 0 to Indiana State, 10 to Illinois, 15 at Iowa, 20 at Oregon, but remember 7 of those effectively was a pick six. Michigan State 13 at home, UCLA 6 points, Maryland 10 points, Penn State 24. That's what we can come back to. Wisconsin 7 points, Purdue 3 points, Ohio State 10 points, Alabama 3 points. Where we Oregon scored effectively 13 offensive points against us at home 3 weeks ago. So, like, what is the argument for them offensively? You're going to just assume that Fernando doesn't throw another pick six. It's certainly possible. I'm not going to like rule it out entirely, but like, how is Oregon getting 3 offensive touchdowns? I don't know that I see that happening at all. Here's what happened in the Penn State game. Go back to the Penn State game and take a look at the flow of that game and what happened. There were 3 pretty good drives by Penn State. But their fourth one that really got them a touchdown was a 60-some-yard TD run by Nick Singleton. So, yep, there are ways that Oregon can win this game. Telling you, I will come up with a way. But like, you have to be either ultra explosive, basically ultra lucky in a way against this defense, but Indiana doesn't tend to give that up, or you have to be ultra like precise and successful and like not make mistakes, don't make penalties, etc. One of the best things that I heard, and this is like, if we look back, like, why were we perhaps not as high on Indiana a couple months ago, going into Autzen, thinking we could lose or whatever else? I think the thing about this team that I had not yet discovered or not yet believed to be true was how excellent they are at limiting their own mistakes. It can happen. There's been some pick sixes. We've given up the occasional deep pass, whatever. But over the course of an entire game of possession, and plays, this Indiana football team does not commit turnovers themselves. We lost one fumble this year. It was the first game of the year against Old Dominion. One. We have like the second fewest penalties in FBS committed.
11 defensive penalties in 14 games.
Right.
That stat is insane.
Indiana is so extremely well coached that we do not beat themselves. And I forget what podcast I heard it on. And I'll kick it back to you here for a second. But it was like college football in particular is not about good teams winning games. It's what happens more often is the worst team does something to lose the game. And Indiana doesn't do that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really, really hard because we're not going to make the mistakes repeatedly to put ourselves in a bad position. This is to me now, we're basically 2 full years of the Kurt Signetti era. We're talking about a team identity that is about not making mistakes. It's actually, to me, not about a particular, even the defensive scheme or a run heavy team or an RPO team or what. No. It is a precise, well executed team. And then you're going to have to beat that. And that's what's really hard.
Someone said, I know Galen said it on his reaction from Crimson Cast, said it on his reaction pod, but I think Herb Street said it too, and a couple of other national guys. Like, it's been a common analogy that I really, really like for this Indiana defense and just team in general, is they drag you out to deep water and drown you. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what they do. And to your point, it's done by limiting mistakes and those type of things that separates this team from other college football teams. And this is why the whole the narrative of like, oh, your team's so old. Like, that's been like, they're men playing against boys. This is like, they're old. Like, that has literally been our criticism this week, which is why I know the national narrative is like grasping for straws from fans that hate us, which is totally fine. People are allowed to hate us. We hate them. But it's like, okay. Like, oh, we have a whole veteran team and we kick your ass doing it. Yeah. Whoops. I guess I'll apologize for having really experienced football players that win national championships. Our bad, college football.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, wait, we did not invent the idea of playing seniors and coaching them up so then they're better than what they were rated as a high school recruit. Like, that's not a new strategy. It's just we're doing it really well, and we're doing it to a level that might win us a national championship. So sorry that you didn't adopt that strategy, but that seems like a you and a coach thing. You go in your own team review year end, go like, how do we get a little bit better? Hey, here's an idea. Let's do what Indiana's doing.
I mean, that's the, like, I was talking about the transfer portal this week online, and people are like, well, we don't need the transfer portal. We actually recruit kids. And I'm like, maybe you do need the transfer portal. Yes.
That's like Notre Dame fans going on this week when Pat Coogan won the Rose Bowl and maybe being like, well, blah, blah. He had to transfer because he wasn't going to play here. And it's like, hey, dummy, maybe you should go ask Marcus Freeman why he wasn't going to play the center that won the Rose Bowl MVP. Maybe you go think about that, huh?
Well, the guy over him is going to be drafted higher. Oh, so that puts a banner on your wall? I like it. Like, that gets you into the college football playoff because it sure didn't this year.
Put the flag up. All the draft picks you had. Yeah. Cool.
Man,
Great.
I'm gonna
We're
clip
gonna win trophies. Thank you.
I'm gonna clip that, and Notre Dame fans, I know what they're gonna say. "Oh, you're about to play for a national semifinal, and all you do is talk about us." It's like, well, we talk about everybody.
Well,
You're
all
not
we're doing is
special.
taking your good players. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. Thank you.
you don't know how to evaluate the talent. Marcus Freeman is too busy interviewing for NFL jobs. Kurt Signetti's taking your players, and we're putting them on our team and winning a national championship. So, how you feel
Sounds
about
about
them
right.
apples?
All right, let's play our segment of how Indiana loses this game. Um, I would like to go first.
Go
Usually
ahead.
you go first, but I would like to go first. So I think the same things that people have been saying online and nationally is probably how they lose. Seeing our pressures for the second time. Like if we're truly scheme based, not necessarily always, which was not true in the Alabama game because the point of attack we were dominating some people in that game. But like if it's based off of like tricks and like just not being able to see what's happening, and now you can practice it and be ready for it, then that I think puts Oregon in a position to make the game closer than it was in Autzen, which is what they need to do because it's to your point earlier, we won by 10. It was a pick six. That game and the percentage of probability of winning that game was that Indiana was probably should have won by more. Like it's just it was how that game played out. Now it's a neutral site. You give the points back. So I think that is the factor that would have to happen in this. The other part of this is that Oregon's defense has taken a step forward because if you remember that game, Charlie Becker had not really emerged in that game yet. Like, yes, he was there. He had a long play that he dropped, and that was like his only target. EJ Williams got hurt in that game. Our running game really wasn't clicking on all cylinders, except for maybe Roman Hemby, at least in the passing game and the receiving game. Um, there were a lot of things on offense that weren't there. And so, okay, is Oregon's defense what we saw against Texas Tech, where they shut them down? Now, Tech's offense is not very good, but is it going to play this role that's there that puts it there? What I see, no matter what, if Indiana loses this game, it is a 14-10 game or like a 17-13 game. It looks like the Ohio State game, except they get a break, right?
Yeah,
Those are the reasons why I think Oregon can win this game. I do not see it as shootout. I can't fathom a Brian Haynes defense this year with this personnel getting exploited. I just can't do it. So it has to come from, well, our offense couldn't move the ball. What say you?
I think I'm agreeing with you on that in terms of the defense. Except to say that I think the one way that I think we lose this game is explosive plays, and not explosive plays in the oh my god, look at this guy streaking down the field and our safeties didn't communicate who was going to rotate over. I think it's a oh look, he hit the pass to Kenyon Sadiq on a 18-yard crossing route. And the one guy that has to make the tackle is D'Angelo Pounds, and he tries to, but Kenyon Sadiq is also a world class athlete, going to be drafted
Yes.
really well, and he breaks the tackle. And then he goes another 40 yards and gets into the end zone or whatever, right? We don't make the tackle that tackles a guy at the 5 yard line, and then they have to run a red zone offense, which we've planned against. He actually breaks through it and gets to the touchdown, right? It is those kind of big explosive plays that Indiana is a really sound tackling team. They're a really sound scheme team, all those things. And for the most part, it does always work and be great. But if it doesn't just a little bit, and again, it only has to do that. I said earlier, 14 points is 2 touchdowns is a lot, but that's also 2 plays, right?
Yeah.
It is 2 major plays. So I think Oregon is going to need multiple like 25-yard plus scoring plays, touchdown plays. I don't see a world where Oregon gets into the red zone, sort of like chip by chip, 5 yard gain, 10 yard gain, 3 yard gain, 5 yard gain, and they're at the 7, right? And they sort of run the ball. I don't see that happening against this defense. I think Oregon's going to need multiple big scores. And then, like you pointed out as well, their defense has to be a lot better than what they played against Indiana in October when we played in Autzen. I don't see that really happening a ton. But our right side of our offensive line, we've talked about it a little bit. I've harped on it all season long, but it seems like we really prefer playing a Johnny over Benson. If all things can be considered, we had that long break and a Johnny came out instead of Benson. Benson plays more, particularly in a run scenario. Um, we don't enjoy Benson's pass pro. I agree with that. I don't enjoy Benson's pass pro either. But Benson also a lot more experience overall and has played the bulk of the season at right tackle. So are they able to exploit the pass protection scheme? Are they able to get to Fernando? Are they able to exploit it from the run game perspective, which I think is probably the hardest thing for the Oregon defense to do? Because if we decide, fine, screw it, we can't pass pro against you, then we're just going to run the ball and we're going to go beast mode with Hemby and Kalon, and we're going to run through a motherfucker face over and over and over and over and over again. But I made this point in the Alabama preview. When you're running the ball a lot, that chews up the clock. It limits the total number of possessions you have in a game. So instead of having 10 possessions, you've got 8. Oregon, instead of having 10, has 8, right? Then that introduces those variants. That introduces the like, oh, but the one time and then it didn't go our way. So Indiana has to be careful that if we start running the ball a lot too, we're exposing ourselves to less possessions and more time off the clock. I don't think it ultimately happens, but I think that's the way Oregon wins. Is they got to get explosive on offense and make Indiana one-dimensional and do the best they can to make Indiana unsuccessful in that one dimension.
So there was analysis. I've watched that game a few times, but I'm forgetting what Brad Nessler said. But he called it the all gas, no brakes offense that Will Stein put out there that they scored on. I think it was like 4 plays, hurry up offense, and then they got a long bomb. You and I had said post that. I think that, I mean, that and the Illinois and obviously ODU set the narrative that, oh, Indiana can give up explosive plays. We also thought Ohio State would run a hurry up. We also thought Alabama would run a hurry up. Maybe
And get the
Oregon's that first.
explosives.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe Oregon's the first team that tries it again.
Yes.
I don't know.
Right, because
It'll be interesting.
it's really hard as a defensive coordinator if you are a master wizard like Brian Haynes is to get in the very extensive play call to the defense. That's all right, you're going to walk up and you're going to fake, and this guy's going to do this. Hey, and the 2D tackles, we want you to stunt and cross over, and then our corner, I want you to walk off, but then drop out, right? Ba 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 ba. Like that's a long play call to get out, and a way to mitigate that, as you've pointed out very successfully, to run a hurry up offense and just go.
Yeah.
And that's how you help to isolate a like our athletes versus your athletes type of matchup, which would not favor Indiana as well. We'll see if Oregon does that a lot. I would imagine that Brian Haynes and his defense is prepared for it to some degree, but it does introduce a different sort of battle tactic that Indiana hasn't faced very much. And maybe if there is a weakness, that could present a problem for us.
Okay, let's focus on the positive. How's Indiana win this game?
I think we win this game because Oregon will be one-dimensional. I think our run defense, we were all worried about Stephen Daly and what that would mean, particularly from a pass rush, because he led our team in pressures and whatever else. But the Indiana run defense is still elite and great. And we're able to do that with even only 7 guys down in the box near the line of scrimmage. We're able to still have our safeties back in pass protection. The Oregon still has their number 1 running back in Whittington. They lost Davison this week. They've lost some of their depth, but Whittington's still pretty good. But I think we can bottle him up, and that's going to create 3rd and long situations again. And Dante Moore is going to need to be able to work through the magic of the Brian Haynes defense. And I don't know that a second time around, it's going to be drastically better. Going alongside that, though, I think the Indiana offense is a lot better. I think we've seen an emergence from Charlie Becker that we didn't have then. We have a healthy Omar Cooper and Elijah Surratt and EJ Williams for this whole game, presumably. I think our offensive line has gotten better. I think our running backs have gotten better. And I think Fernando himself has gotten better in terms of his passing and his decision making. I think the Indiana offense is so well balanced and complete that I think anything that the Oregon defense is going to throw at us is probably going to be able to get solved. So I expect Indiana to really be kind of unstoppable in a way on offense. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to score 60, but I think the Indian offense is going to be really, really good. And we're going to see the defense probably still dominate just like it has the last couple games.
Oregon is on us in the Midwest. If you're an Oregon fan and you're coming to hate watch us and be like, these guys are idiots and don't know ball, welcome. Thanks for the click. But us in the Midwest know two things. We know what a tornado watch is and we know what a tornado warning is. Tornado watch means that there is an environment of which a tornado could form. A warning means a tornado has been spotted in the clouds or on the ground, right? Well, we are on belt to ass watch for Oregon. And the reason why we are on BTA watch is because of what you just said in your last point. Fernando Mendoza is a completely different quarterback than he was in that Oregon game. And he was pretty darn good in that Oregon game. He made one mistake, but Elijah Surratt abused the Oregon defensive backfield, abused them in that game. And consistently, Fernando Mendoza found him. Now you got a Fernando Mendoza that seems to like to move out of that pocket a little bit, find that open space and find those guys. And now you have to worry about over the top Charlie B from Tennessee back there waiting for the ball to just come right down into his arms. I don't know how Oregon stops him. Oregon's defense is better than Alabama's. Oregon's defense is a top 10 unit in the country, I would say. I think this Indiana offense showed in the Alabama game because Alabama has the athletes that everyone was worried about, including you and I in the Penn State game. Like, that's what we point to. It's like, well, Indiana, when they play those athletes, maybe their offense doesn't look that good. I think Indiana isn't playing at another level right now. So I think that's how they win because I think the defense just like is consistent. They're going to give up 0 to 16 points in this game.
Yeah.
And all Indiana's got to do is go score 17. And I think that's going to be the difference in the game and in the offense. And that's why they're on BTA watch. They were BTA warning for Alabama, but BTA watch for Oregon in this game. And that's Indiana does that because of the offensive side of the ball. It's just that much better than Oregon's defense is and better than they were October 11th.
Yeah. I
So
expect a very, very sound, well run game from our offense.
yeah.
Flat out. Maybe the defense doesn't look quite as dominant, but I think this offense is going to cook come Friday.
Plus, a Kurt Signetti offense, whenever they see Dylan Thieneman standing there in the defensive backfield, for those audio listeners,
Uh,
I just wide-eyed like, "Oh, buddy."
yeah.
Like,
Pro tip Oregon, maybe don't take Purdue players.
yeah.
We know they're not good. You don't really want them. You're fine.
Nope. And whenever they see the cream and crimson and Kurt Signetti staring at them, I think they pee down their legs or at least miss a tackle. That's
Yeah.
what they probably do in that scenario. So, yeah, if you have Indiana on your schedule, just don't take Purdue, the defensive players. The breaking the will is 66-0, and Dylan Thieneman's never recovered.
Yeah.
So, by the way, my luck is that we're going to win 24 points, but Dylan Thieneman's going to get like an interception or something. And I'm just going to get absolutely crushed online. But that's okay. I will take that outcome if that's what it means for our Hoosiers to be going to the national championship game. All right, real quickly, because we're a little bit over our preview time. Who's your player of the game?
I've got Heisman Mendoza. It's an easy pick. It's a lazy pick in a way, but I expect him to have a really, really good game. This will be billed. You'll hear previews where people talk about this as the battle for the number one pick in the draft, potentially between Fernando and Dante Moore. But I think the result of this game proves that he's been the best quarterback in college football, best player in college football, and I expect him to play at a extremely high level as the Hoosiers march on to the national championship game.
So this is going to be my second time that I'm having to be creative, so we're not boring. Speaking of like national people, because I mean, yeah, Fernando Mendoza, just like we said in the Alabama preview, if he's playing the way that we know he can play, they're going to win by a lot. It's the same way in this one. Lewis Moore is intriguing to me. I think what Indiana's got to do early to really like blow them out is they need to intercept Dante Moore.
Yeah.
If they intercept Dante Moore, like, man, we are in a situation where, they are in a position that that guy's already been seeing ghosts and has PTSD from that first time, and I think it would just add to that mental fragility that they probably have going into that game. So, I'm gonna pick a defensive backfield, and Lewis Moore's been money, in terms of intercepting the football, so that's who I'm he should have had one against Ty Simpson. He dropped it.
Yeah.
Early in that game. So, all right, score prediction.
I've got Indiana winning this pretty comfortably, 38-10. This is unfortunately blowout city. There are plenty of analytical models out there actually that are now after the Rose Bowl telling you that this Indiana football team is just as good as the 2019 Louisiana State University Go Tigers, like Hall of Fame team that everybody just glazed over, that you and I glazed over watching. Like, my God, this is what a train to watch this team steamroll through. People were ready for it because it had LSU on the side of the helmet. They weren't ready for Indiana to turn into that, but they did. So
Yep.
I think this is a steamroll situation. I've got the Hoosiers big.
Man, like you said at the beginning of this podcast when I asked you what your vibe is, like, I probably went into this week thinking we weren't gonna do anything, and then, yeah, I mean, I think I have to account for Oregon's injuries. I have to account for Oregon's vibe
Transfer
around their
portal.
program. Transfer portal, and not only transfer portal of, like, players transferring out, but their coaching staffs having to be all Kentucky's been one of the most active transfer portal teams in the country. You don't think Will Stein's a little bit focused on that? Dan Lane's on the defense side of the ball. He's not on the offense side of the ball, and I'm not and it's offensively that I'm not sure Oregon actually is a national championship contender. I I really want to go 38 like up where you are. I said 38-13 for Alabama. I have a lot of respect for Oregon. I just don't I'm gonna go 30-10. 30-10.
Oh,
I'll say a little bit lower than you. I mean, this is the Oregon fans are gonna listen to this and be like, "These guys don't know anything." It's like, "Oh, yeah, but except we've predicted almost every outcome for Indiana because it's easy." Like, sure, Tim and I are not football scientists. We are not scouting and gonna break down of, like, the Mike and drill or the Mike linebacker should be in this position with this angle and his hips should be that's not us, never will be. But this Indiana team makes predicting their outcomes pretty damn easy.
pretty easy. And listen, for the Oregon haters who are going to be like, my God, how could you predict 38-10? Buddy, 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 come on in here. Okay. The game in Autzen was 30-20 final score. All I'm predicting is basically one more touchdown for Indiana. I think their offense is a lot better, and to not throw a pick six. That's exactly what I'm
Yeah.
picking. That's all it is. It's the exact same game. It's still belt to ass. It's just going to look worse on the scoreboard. 38-10 Hoosiers. This is easy.
And I really do believe Indiana fans are going to show out. It's going to be an absolute home game. Tim and I will be there. We will be cheering very loud. Tim's getting there a little bit earlier than I am. Hopefully you see him out and you get to yell at him, which I'm very excited about is someone recognizing Tim on the street. Couple things for you. Our prediction for the other one, the Fiesta Bowl. We're gonna put that out online. So follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all the fun things. We'll put that out tomorrow on the game day to give you our predictions there. And then secondly, it's been one of those runs that if you haven't bought your Miami plane tickets and stuff like that, you need to be doing it. Because if Miami beats Ole Miss, it's gonna be expensive, down in Miami. Hotel rooms might be cheaper, fair, but at least, there. But Miami doesn't have a lot of local fans. They don't have a lot of fans in general, but they have a lot of, like, online fans.
Yeah.
So, people might fly in for that.
Yeah, there will be
So
demand if Miami wins that game. So
yeah, for sure. All right, for Tim, I'm Trent. This has been fun. Let's go win a Peach Bowl. We'll be back. We just talked about it. We'll shoot some videos probably post game, win or lose, and then we will do another podcast Saturday night once Tim drives back from Atlanta, and we will cover that before the Bears playoff game. He said I had to do it before the Bears playoff game. He doesn't. He's emotionally hedging for that one. So, all right, go Hoosiers.